Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm so happy you're joining me for this episode of Saturday with Sara. Today, I'm excited to show you the Jolly Holidays collection of papers and embellishments from our friends at Paper Rose. Let's take a closer look, and we can start with our paper pack. So I'll move aside the embellishments just for now, and we can flip through here. So here you have a 6 by 6 inch collection containing 18 double-sided patterned papers. You'll have 3 each of 12 designs, and you can see the designs here. Really classic Christmas color palette, classic Christmas imagery. Now, if Paper Rose is a new name to you, they are a small family-owned business based in South Australia. So this has been a lot of fun getting to play with this collection. So that's our paper pack. And then to go along, we have 2 sets of embossed die cuts. And this is Jolly Holidays number 1. We will also take a look at number 2. Both of these collections have the same format. So in each one, you'll have 4 sheets of die cut elements, and they have glossy embossed highlights that I really like. So here's our first set. You can see a variety of shapes and sizes and images ranging from cute to elegant, really beautiful and so easy to use. So that's number 1. And then here is number 2. Again, the same format, completely different imagery, but of course they can be mixed and matched and used together. So here again, those 4 sheets. Now these are all die cut elements, so they'll just pop right out of that backing sheet in there. And here you go. Absolutely stunning. Really, really like these. So we've got our 2 embossed die cut packs, these 2 together, and then also our paper pack as well to go along. So of course everything is designed to coordinate perfectly, making it easy to create beautiful and unique cards. I'm really glad that you're here today, and I'm so excited to explore the creative possibilities with you. So come play with us. Our first card features these adorable Christmas gnomes as the focal, and I've layered them with some foam tape and one of the wreath die cuts, as well as the square and scalloped dies, which creates a kind of frame. I also have some holly dazzles in here too, so there's a lot going on. Why don't we start with our background and then work our way up? Now, because my blank card is 5 by 6.5 inches, I'm using 2 portions of 6 by 6 pattern paper to cover the front. So most of my card is covered with this overall design, and then I added a strip of the red faux texture paper at the bottom and separated the 2 with a straight lines dazzle. Now you can see this is what I have left of my sheet. There are 2 different widths on here, so a very narrow and a wider one. I'm using the wider dazzle on here, and that's just going right across the front of my card. Now these are great for all kinds of accents, and especially to go between 2 patterned papers. Then on top I have my card greeting, which is the Happy Holidays dazzle, and this comes from the Christmas greeting set. Now I have used quite a lot from the gold sheet, so I thought I would show you the red version too. Maybe you can see them a little bit better. What I like about these is that you have a variety of different sentiments. You also have a variety of different sizes and font styles. So everything from quite traditional to something maybe a little bit more modern. And I really like having the options from that set. So I've got my Happy Holidays, which I've put onto a white label die cut, and this comes from the 8 labels die set, and I've used this larger label here. These 2 I use so often. I use the other ones a lot as well, but these 2 are really invaluable in my crafting stash. So I've popped this one up on foam tape, and that's just going right over that gold dazzle. Now for the focal, well, I've started with the green dot patterned paper, and I've cut it into a square using my old favorite, the square and scalloped dies. And I've matted that green dot onto a white scalloped piece. So I know it's a little tricky to see it under there, but maybe you can see it a bit better here. I've just die cut this from plain cardstock. And I think this creates a really nice focal kind of foundation, especially if you're creating a collage or adding lots of layers one on top of the other to create a scene like I have here. So I have this die cut with the green and the white popped up with foam tape on the card. And then I've glued down this floral die cut and then added the two gnomes with some foam tape. So he's up on one layer of foam tape. He's up on two layers of foam tape. So I have some nice dimension on here. Now with my holly, I've got some little hints of gold, which I really like. These are the holly dazzles, and I've only got this left of my sheet. So I've got one large holly piece that you see there, but you also get some swirls and some smaller accent pieces on there too. Now these are an outline style of dazzle. So what you can do is simply peel them off and put them onto your surface, and it creates this beautiful effect. It's also really tactile because it's raised. It's gorgeous as it is. You can also do a technique that we called backing a dazzle, and that's what I've done here, which is where you put the dazzle onto some coordinating cardstock and then trim around the outside edge. Now I've got a piece that's in process, so there's some red cardstock you can see right behind where those berries are. And then I put the rest of the dazzle onto green cardstock, and I'll just take my detail tip scissors and trim around. So then that way I'll have two little accents just like these, and I'm able to get the green of the leaves and the red of the berries. Now the cardstock I used on this card and the others in this webisode is from the Frosted Flowers cardstock set. And it has some nice greens in here as well as a really beautiful red, which I've also used. And it just coordinates really nicely. And then for the rest of my card, I have this gingham bow tied on here and just glued right to accent those cute little gnomes. Then for my card inside, I have this fun plaid paper with more hints of gold. And I think you can see those going across here on that plaid paper. And this is a really fun technique to do as well. So I've got one of my dazzles on here already, and then I can take another one, simply pull this off, and either position it to go along parallel with the first, or I can have them crisscrossing. And just position this down, smooth it down, and then trim off the excess if I need to. And that's what I've done to create this effect here. So I've got one dazzle going here and one going across there. And then I have another one of the label die cuts cut from white cardstock, and I have one of the sentiments or one of the images from the paper pack. And this has been inked around the outside edges using the Delicata gold pigment ink pad. And then I've added another little die cut here and a very tiny dazzle at the corner. This card has a very similar layout to the first one, so let's bring that one back in and we can compare. Here again, I've started the focal with a base layer made of dot pattern paper, and I've die cut that into a square, matted it onto the nested scalloped square, and then in this case, I have another straight edge square. So this creates a really nice place for my layered focal elements. Now with both cards, I'm mixing die cuts from the Jolly Holidays #1 and #2 sets. And the nice thing is that they can be used together really easily. In both sets, you will have some wreaths and some large floral elements, which look beautiful on their own, but they can also be used as a backdrop for some of the other die cut elements. So in this case, I have the polar bear and a gift parcel layered with foam tape on top of the wreath image. So I thought it might be kind of fun to take a look at this process. So I've got one of the wreaths just glued straight down, and then I can experiment with some of the die cuts. So I have this sweet little guy popped up on some foam tape, and I could put him right on here, and I think he would be really sweet. So that's one option. I could also do the same with Santa, again, up on a little bit of foam tape here. And put him right in the center. I could also use the deer image, and he could go even off to the side there because I've got that nice flower on here. So you can kind of play with how much of those elements you want to incorporate. So that's one of the wreath images. Now if I flip this over, I have one of the large floral pieces too. And again, the same process can work. You can have those overlapping like so. Here's one option. Here's another option there too. That looks really nice. And then our third could go on like this. Now these are all images with faces. You could also incorporate some of the other kinds of images in there, like for example, a stack of Christmas cookies. So you can work around with various types and sizes of these elements to layer up onto those wreaths and florals. Now the nice thing, and the reason that it works so easily, is because you've got this white mat going around all of these different images. So it's almost as if you have these elements matted and there's some visual space that will go in between the image itself and then the pattern of the design underneath. So it works beautifully for that reason. Now, the other thing I want to point out on here with the card, I've got another label going on with that Blessings Dazzle, and then I've also got some pattern paper going on in the background. Then for my card inside, I have another layered image of the wreath and the polar bear and more Dazzles words. Now I've got another example, another variation of our layered look. And this time it's 2 nutcracker die cuts popped up on foam tape, and the background is made of 2 label die cuts, the red and the white. I also have another backed holly dazzle and a little dazzle accent over here. So the tag itself is cut from the nutcracker patterned paper, and I'm using the tag in a bag die. This is another one of my favorites, but in this case I'm only using the tag die. And when I die cut this, I took care to position the die so that when I run this through my die cutting machine, I'm also able to get the portion here with this large image so that I have that positioned really nicely. Now, if I had something else I wanted going on in the back of the tag, I could also use this section here. So I was just playing with this and making sure that when I secure that down and run it through my die cutting machine, that I'm able to get both of those images on there. So the Oliver pattern on one side and then my single nutcracker on the other side. And then I've got some jute twine here, and this comes in really handy when you're working with your tags. So this is from the jute twine set. I've got a little bit of black on there, and then I've got some gingham ribbon, which I also used in my first card from the gingham ribbon set too. So I've just tied this into a bow and glued it right at the top of my tag. This center step card features a lot of layered images, and this is kind of the beauty of this card layout. So it will open like so, which means that you've got a nice spotlight area for your card focal or focal portion of pattern paper. You've got a great border down here at the bottom, and then you've also got some space on either side of this focal place as well. So the die that I'm working with is the center step card cutting die. It's just one metal piece, so you'll run this through with your paper, and then you'll follow the diagram on the back, which will give you your mountain folds and your valley folds. All of those will be scored when you run your piece through your die cutting machine, so you don't need to worry about that. So once you have it die cut from your paper or cardstock, it will come out looking like this. You'll have those score lines on there, so all you need to do is follow along for your mountain fold as well as your valley folds. And after you've got those all scored, then you'll have a piece that looks like this, and you are ready to decorate. So I've used the green cardstock from the Frosted Flowers cardstock set for my card base because it's 12 by 12. And in the center, I placed a section of this patterned paper here. So I'm just using this area here. And I've trimmed that down slightly smaller. So I've got a little bit of a green border going around the top and the sides. And then I've added a border of red patterned paper down here at the bottom, along with another straight line dazzle and a swirl from the holly dazzles. Now the word joy is on here too, in between the various die cut images which are overlapping the edges and the sides. And I've got two smaller floral pieces on either side. Now my tree is popped up on foam tape, so is the pile of packages, and then the bird is too. Just one little tip, when you're gluing these down, whether you're using regular adhesive or foam tape, just be sure to double check that your adhesive is only going where it will attach to the card itself and not over here so it doesn't accidentally get gluey in places that you don't want it to. Then for my card inside, I have some white cardstock matted onto green, accented with more of those dazzles and this gorgeous bird image, plus a little Christmas bauble at the top. Our final card project is also using a die, and this time it's the side pop-up card. And this will give you a really fun card base that will open like so and give you lots of space for personalization. So the die that I'm working with here is our side pop-up, and you can see there are two metal pieces in this case, and this will give you the format like so. Of course, hot off the press, always a project idea, always some written instructions, and then here you've got your folding diagram as well as where to put your adhesive. So very helpful there. So when you run your piece through the die cutting machine, you'll have the card back and then you'll have the card base. So when you run this through your die cutting machine, it will give you the outside edges here. It will also cut these inner slits, and it will give you the folding score lines on here. So all you have to do is follow those score lines and do your mountain folds and your valley folds, and then you'll end up with a piece that looks like so. Now there's a side flap on here which will fold, and this is where you're going to put your adhesive. Now I do recommend using the extra sticky tape for this, and that will work beautifully to hold the back portion of the card in place. So you'll nest this up right up to the folded line in here, and then when your card is closed, it will look like so. And then from here, you can decorate however you wish. So I die cut both of my pieces from plain cardstock, and then I added my patterned paper. So I covered the inside with this red patterned paper because it's double-sided, and I wanted to have a solid cardstock on the back of my card. On the front, I added this strip of the green dot paper. You can tell I really like that design. And then I've also got a portion of the stripe. Now this is separated, of course, by a straight line dazzle. The large floral and the two penguins are my focal, overlapping each other and even going into this corner section here. Then to go along, I have a cutout from the paper pack, and I also have another floral element, which will look like this when it's opening and like this when it's closed. So that's a lot of fun too. And then a gingham bow is just going to add some softness to the design. For my card inside, I have a leftover strip of pattern paper. I just couldn't toss it away, so I thought I'd put it to use here. I've added another straight dazzle and the tree die cut. And then over here, I've got our last little penguin die cut and a beautiful dazzle message. And that is our final project of the day today. So a big thank you to our friends at Paper Rose for today's collection. I really had a lot of fun playing with these beautiful papers and very special embellishments. And a special thank you to you for joining me today. We're really glad you're here, and we're happy you're a part of the Paper Wishes family. Do feel free to leave a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, have a look in the description box below this video. You'll find a link that will take you to our Paper Wishes webisodes page and you can see everything I just mentioned. If you enjoyed our video today, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps people to find our channel. And don't forget to subscribe. We create 3 to 5 videos each week, so there's always something fun to inspire your creative spirit.